Now we're just getting a breaking news. The Ajit Pawar faction of the NCP is currently divided into two camps. One wishes to remain with the Mahayuti alliance, while the other seeks reunification with the Sharad Pawar's faction. Meanwhile, BJP is keen to keep the Ajit Pawar faction within the Mahayuti alliance. Joining us now with more is CNN News 18's Yasha Kotak. Yasha, very good morning to you and thank you for joining us. Now, reports suggesting that Ajit Pawar's faction wanted reunification before his death. Now, how are both factions now calibrating post the tragic death of Ajit Pawar?
Absolutely. In fact, what we've gotten to know from our sources is that just a day before the death of Ajit Pawar, there was a meeting that was held when the discussions were held between three key figures from the NCP Ajit Pawar faction. That was Sunil Tatkare, Praful Patel, and Ajit Pawar. In fact, sources have also indicated there would have been a possible discussion on the reunification between both the Pawar factions. Now, this comes in as in the last couple of weeks, there was speculation that were abuzz about both the NCP factions coming together. In fact, what we've also gotten to know from our sources is that there was a meeting that was held on December 12th where this discussion about whether the NCP Sharad Pawar faction and the Ajit Pawar faction should come together. However, whether there was a date that was put to it as to when this would happen is something that's not clear yet. But reunification discussion was already, on the cards. However, whether it will happen anytime soon, whether there was a particular date that was assigned to it, is something that has not yet been cleared. Now, all of this comes in as we see that in the recently concluded municipal corporation elections for the Pune Municipal Corporation, Modi NCP decided to come together, fight the elections together. We, in fact, also saw how Ajit Pawar and Supriya Sule had shared the same stage while releasing the manifesto in Pune. So all of this have been important aspects that were much being spoken about. In the wake that was this just for that particular municipal corporation elections, or was there more than that? Was this alliance to be taken further and both the NCPs would have come together? Now all of these discussions have become even more rich as we see that the questions are being raised as to who next after Ajit Pawar, whether it would be Surekha Pawar, the wife of Ajit Pawar, who would lead this very camp, or would it be Jay Pawar? Because he was clearly seen closely campaigning along with his mother in the Lok Sabha election when Surekha Pawar had contested against Supriya Sule from Baramati. However, so far, no names have been finalized. These are all in speculations because all of this comes in as we see the senior leaders of NCP Ajit faction, be it Chhagan Bhujbal or for that matter, be it Praful Patel.
Right.
They went and met Sunita Pawar yesterday after the last rites of Ajit Pawar were conducted. Because all of this comes in as the NCP would have to call a meeting to decide on the further name. And also because what's important is that now the key portfolio is held by Ajit Pawar would also have to be given to someone else, and that's why a formal communication will also have to be made to the Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yasha, please do stay on with us. While let's take a look at the Pawar family tree. Now, the Pawar family tree has Govind Rao Pawar and Sharda Bai Pawar at the top. And they have their kids Appa Sahib, Anant Rao Pawar, Sharad Pawar, Pratap, and Saroj Patil. Now, let's begin. Appa Sahib has his kids Rajendra Pawar and Ranjit Pawar. Anant Rao Pawar has Srinivas Pawar, Ajit Pawar, and Vijaya Patil. Then we move to Sharad Pawar, who has a daughter, Supriya Sule. And then Pratap has a son, Abhijit Pawar. We don't have information on Saroj Patil. Now let's start with the third generation of the family. Rajendra Pawar has a son, Rohit Pawar. Anant Rao Pawar's kid Ajit Pawar, who is the primary person in the question here, has Parth Pawar and Jay Pawar, who is now being thought of that he would take over the Baramati polls. Then we have Pratap Pawar and his son Abhijit Pawar. So, Yasha, coming back to you, now we just took a look at the Pawar family tree. And now there have been speculations that Ajit Pawar's wife and the son would be most likely successors to his positions. How is the party feeling on that? Do they have enough support from the internal factions of the party?
So when we speak of the NCP, like we know, it has always been it's always been a party which has always looked up to the Pawar family. Clearly, people like Baramati, or for that matter, within the NCP, would always look up to Sharad Pawar and would always believe that Ajit Pawar would be the one who would take forward the party after Sharad Pawar. That's where, when Modi NCP split, there was clearly a question as to, what would be the further course of action for Sharad Pawar faction, because Ajit Pawar was being seen as one over the last 4 decades would in fact ensure that the party grows. Now with Ajit Pawar gone, what's important to note is that that key person who was holding the party together, who was working for Baramati, has that void has been left. So clearly, in this case, now there's an alternate that is being looked at. For any party, for that matter, the key party leaders, it's being seen as that they would want a Pawar to lead the party, because NCP as a party has always been centric to the Pawar family. Because even when you speak of at Baramati, while Sharad Pawar started his career as an MLA from Baramati, eventually when he moved on to the center, the state position was taken over by Ajit Pawar, which was seen as the continuation of Pawar family, and eventually when Sharad Pawar moved into the Rajya Sabha, his position at the Lok Sabha was taken over by Supriya Sule. So, for that matter, at Baramati, it was always seen as Sharad Pawar at center, which meant Sharad Pawar and his family at the center, and Ajit Pawar at the state. So here, for that matter, they would want that very lineage, or that very continuation of Ajit Pawar family at the state. In fact, when you speak of the last Lok Sabha elections,
Right.
we'd also seen how Supriya Sule had contested against Sunetra Pawar, but Supriya Sule won. And Ajit Pawar, in several interviews, including the interview he gave to us, had mentioned that that was the biggest mistake of wherein he fielded two family members together, and he would never want to do that again.
Right.
So, which is where now what's being seen as the party would be keen into ensuring that a Pawar leads the NCP rather than a person from outside coming to lead this very
Right.
NCP faction of Ajit Pawar. Yes.